What should have been a day of happiness, a way to welcome back NASCAR returning to the Brickyard, we end up leaving aggravated, disappointed, defeated. Overall, once again, that was some bullshit. Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Jet. Welcome back to episode of MDK Racing Victory Sup. Hope we're having a wonderful Sunday. The final race before NASCAR's 2-week Olympic break. We return to the oval of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the first time in 4 years. And boy, did it leave us just, like I said, aggravated, annoyed, defeated. What was shaping up to be a great race, or at the very least a really good finish, just ended up in utter chaos. Now this race was kind of similar to Pocono last week. Not so much on-track action, which is something we were expecting. With this car, we knew we weren't going to get like great racing at a track like Indianapolis, but it was a lot better than I think what people expected. But the strategy is what made the race very interesting. You saw a lot of different drivers either pitting halfway into the stage, trying to stretch it on different fuel mileages. Everyone was running different strategies, so it made the race very interesting from a strategic perspective. Stage 1 was pretty straightforward. Tyler Reddick led early on. After a pit stop though, Denny Hamlin, who pitted a couple laps earlier than Reddick, was able to leapfrog to go from I think 5th or 4th place to take the lead, and we're going to win stage 1. Stage 2, with track position being so key, we saw a lot of different drivers stay out to get out ahead and get some clean air, get that track position, like John Nemechek, who led 14 some odd laps. Todd Gillen stayed out, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, and Bubba Wallace were among many that stayed out in stage 2 just to try and improve their track position. Wallace would end up being the beneficiary out of all of them, as he would lead majority of the second half of stage 2 to win the stage. And that strategy continued on into stage 3 and was going to be a big part of the finish of that race. When stage 3 began, Wallace, who won stage 2, pitted out to the top 16. Other drivers like Denny Hamlin, who pitted earlier before in stage 2 to set up for the final stage, they were out in front. And near the ending of the race, it was expected you saw some big accidents take place. Martin Truex Jr. was involved in a couple of them, including one in turns 3 and 4 when he was involved with Chastain and Larson, and he ended up spinning and crashing. Josh Berry was also involved behind Truex, trying to avoid all the chaos after he got tapped by Ty Gibbs. More carnage like Carson Hocevar doing what he does best, wrecking, trying to make it 3 wide for 12th or 13th place. Ends up hitting Austin Dillon and Ryan Blaney, who then hit Jimmy Johnson, and Joe Logano ends up crashing, setting up another restart. When that happened, that was around 40 laps to go. Hamlin and a couple others, they decided to pit. Chastain stayed out. He led some laps. But we then had another caution involving Truex crashing again by himself. And this happened in the middle of a pit cycle. Because of that, Brad Keselowski stayed out, trying to stretch the fuel mileage. There were a couple of other drivers like Ryan Blaney, who somehow, even after that crash, his car wasn't hurt too badly, was in position. But the big story was, could Keselowski make it to the end? And if not, Blaney, he'd be there to pounce. But the big name that was moving through the field was Kyle Larson. He pitted, I believe, after the Truex spin, so less than 37 some odd laps ago. So he had no issue with fuel, didn't have to worry about it, and was the biggest mover of the field. He gained like 14 spots because he was deep in the pack when that caution came out. Flew by everyone and was within reach. He had a good battle between him and Denny Hamlin. He was able to get by him and had his eye set on the 6 of Keselowski and the 12 of Blaney. And in the closing laps of that race, it was set up to be a great finish. You knew it was going to be difficult to pass, but the 6 and 12 and the 5 were nose to tail in the closing laps, was set up to be a fantastic finish. But then with 2 laps to go, the caution comes out for Kyle Busch spinning in turn 3. That sends us into overtime, and that is when shit hits the fan. Hamlin and Zane Smith were some of the drivers that were in position to at the very least have a good finish until that caution came out. They pit. Keselowski still stays out. Many of us were thinking, ain't no way Keselowski can make it. Yes, we know Logano made it 10 laps farther than anyone else at Nashville, but number one, there were a ton of cautions left, right, and center, and it's a 1.3 track. This is a 2.5 mile racetrack. Big difference. Soon as he went to green, Keselowski pulls left with the pace car to pit. Kyle Larson then drives up next to Ryan Blaney, and it seems as though gets ahead of Blaney once they're in the restart zone. Then right after that, another caution. John Nemechek and Daniel Hemrick, they both make contact with the inside wall, shoot back up across the racetrack with big hits, collecting Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, and a couple other drivers. But this is the big controversy because Blaney was furious at the restart, saying that they gave the lead to Larson, that he's a golden boy. And you can't blame him for being pissed off because Larson was the leader when the caution came out, but he shouldn't have been. with the restart, because Keselowski went off a pit road, went off the racetrack onto pit road, Blaney was second. If Keselowski pits, Blaney is the race leader, meaning he should be the lead car. He should be the control car. If there's any sort of confusion, okay, throw the caution out. Say, okay, this lap is a wash, do one more lap, and then go to green because of what happened. Larson jumped the restart. He did. He was third. You don't go from third to then all of a sudden you become the control car. No, Blaney becomes a control car. Unless there is a rule that can clarify why, there is absolutely no reason why Kyle Larson should have been the leader, should have been the control car. He should have been nowhere near the lead. When that caution came out, Blaney should have been the leader, and Larson should have either had a penalty or something happened, because he should not have been the race leader. He wasn't the control car. Keselowski was the control car. When he peeled off, Blaney's now the control car. Blaney was absolutely 100% within his rights to be furious at NASCAR, and a lot of other fans were. Almost, if you look on social media, so many people were saying that that's not fair. That restart wasn't right. And it wasn't. Unless there was a rule that states that something like this is allowed, Larson should not have been the leader. Period. He shouldn't have been. Okay? The fact that he drove up and launched ahead of Blaney when he wasn't even the control car to begin with. And then when we got on the restart, and we knew Larson had the faster car. Blaney tried his best to hang on the outside, but we knew that as soon as Larson got out ahead, it was done. Larson took the lead, and then more BS happens. On the back straightaway, Ryan Preece got turned by someone and hits the inside wall. And he was stopped for a good period of time, was stopped with a flat tire, stopped on the back straightaway for time. Okay, he was stopped. He maybe moved a little bit, but then stopped for a good period of time. And NASCAR just waited. They waited till Larson took the white flag. And then once Larson entered came off of turn number 1, that's when they threw the caution. Absolute BS from NASCAR officiating on what was a pretty good race ends up a complete shit show. I mean, Larson gets his 27th win, his 4th win of the season. Hendrick Motorsports 11th career Brickyard 400 win in their team's history. But what a shameful way NASCAR officiated this race. Because also right from the very beginning, in stage 1, 2 drivers, Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski, both had penalties for blend line violation. According to NASCAR's rulebook, when they sent out to the drivers this morning about the rules in terms of getting back on the racetrack, drivers are allowed to swing wide, but not enter the racing surface. Swing wide would be to kind of get on the racing surface. And it happened in 2020, the last time NASCAR was at the Brickyard. There are clips, and I think NASCAR Man posted this, of drivers getting on the racetrack between turns 1 and 2 and then coming back down, swinging wide. So if it's not a penalty there, why is it a penalty here? Again, the way NASCAR officiated this race from start to finish was awful in my eyes. And it calls into question, especially when it comes to overtime, because this has happened in the past. In my eyes, this was a complete copy-paste of what happened in 2017. When Hamlin crashed on the back straightaway, clear as day, it was a caution, but NASCAR waited until they hit the overtime line to then throw the caution. And I get it. You know, NASCAR, they don't want a 2017 part 2 where you just restart caution. If that's the case, do one of two things. A, stop having overtime finishes then. Like if you don't want to have to deal with that, shorten them. Have just 3 overtime finishes, or have just 1 attempt at an overtime, or no attempts in general, and have the race run to the scheduled distance. If you don't want to be here forever, it's kind of like you created a monster. It's like you created the monster. You had to deal with it. You know, you created this whole situation. If you don't want to deal with it, then don't put yourself in an environment where that can happen. Okay. I personally have no issues with overtime, but again, it's the inconsistency with NASCAR's officiating, where some crashes that you would think would be a caution, they let it go. They let it go to the very end. And then other times where it's like, that was barely a caution, like he kept going, they throw the caution, go to overtime. It's like, again, I don't mind overtime, but when it comes to NASCAR's officiating, I have a big problem with it because of stuff like this. That should have been a caution. I don't care what driver, if it was Larson, if it was Wallace, Elliott, Blaney, I don't care. That should have been a caution. He was stopped on the back straightaway with a flat tire. That should have been a caution, okay? Clear as day. That should have been a caution, And Larson should not have been the leader for that restart. Blaney should have been the leader. Regardless if Blaney, I don't care what would happen after. Blaney should have been the leader. He should have been the control car. If there is some confusion, wash it. Throw the caution back out again, wash it, go again the next time by. But just letting Larson be the control car, going from third, driving up a whole row, and then jumping Blaney, taking got to his finish line ahead of Blaney when he wasn't even the control. He wasn't even on the first row to begin with. He wasn't even supposed to be. Again, it's just makes no sense. It's not the same situation, but it's like with Busch at Nashville a couple weeks ago, where he wasn't involved in the crash. He didn't hit Chastain, but he lost a ton of ground, and NASCAR decided, now you go back to your spot, when it was clear as day that he lost his position. Again, it's just this inconsistency and rules making no sense and officiating not being clear that makes these races sometimes so aggravating to watch. And it was very disappointing because, like I said, it was a pretty good race. It wasn't the greatest race because dirty arrow, track position was super duper important. It was stupid how God mode track position was in this race, but it was expected. But the strategy saved it, and I thought it was a lot better of a race than what many people thought it would be. Some people thought it would be an absolute dud. I'll tell you what, I'm taking this over the Indy road course any day. So, simple as put, that's my thoughts on it. But how NASCAR officiated this race from top to bottom was a disgrace, in my opinion. It's been a while since NASCAR's officiating has been so bad that I remember. It's been a while since I've been furious at NASCAR's officiating. Maybe Richmond earlier this year, I don't know. But how they've officiated this race from top to bottom in my eyes was an embarrassment. But I don't know, I'm more pissed off at the restart or more pissed off at them not throwing the caution for Priest. I don't know, but this race, it could have been so good. Anyways, here's a look at the results. I haven't gotten to that yet, but the results goes as such. So Larson wins, Tyler Reddick in second. Third is Ryan Blaney. Again, tough luck for him in that 12 team. Every single time it's like they put themselves in position and something bad happens. Fourth is Christopher Bell. Bubba Wallace in fifth. He won stage 2. Much needed points for him in that 23 team. How about Todd Gillen in sixth? Austin Cindric, who started second to dead last, in seventh. Daniel Suarez in eighth. Noah Gragson ninth, and Chase Elliott in 10th. How about that for a top 10? Some of those drivers you would not expect to see up towards the front. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 11th. Carson Hocevar in 12th. Austin Dillon, good top 15 finish for him in 13th. Corey LaJoie 14th, and Chastain in 15th. Michael McDowell, Zane Smith, Cody Ware, who recovered from that tire issue very early in the race. Ty Dillon and Justin Haley, the top 20. Brad Keselowski, 21st. Buescher, 22nd. He had issues earlier in the race after smoke came out of his car. Ty Gibbs, who had engine issues. Chase Briscoe was involved in that crash. In fact, everyone from 24th on back was involved in an accident in some way, shape, or form. Chase Briscoe, Kyle Busch, Ryan Preece, Mark Truex Jr., Eric Jones, John Hunter Nemechek, and Daniel Hemrick the top 30, with Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, Joey Logano, Josh Berry, Harrison Burton, AJ Allmendinger, William Byron, and BJ McLeod, who had engine issues, finishes in dead last. Now, William Byron and AJ Allmendinger, they were involved in a crash earlier in the race. They were involved in a crash in stage 2, or on a restart. Contact with the 41 between the 24 and the 21 sends Byron into the wall and comes across right on the nose of AJ Allmendinger, and that's what caused those two to crash. And the point standings, with 4 races to go in the regular season, here's what they look like. So Kyle Larson with 28 playoff points to his name now. Denny Hamlin won stage 1, so he got 21 playoff points now to his name. Mark Truex Jr. with this crash loses some ground, but still plus 108. Ty Gibbs now within that 60-point range, now just plus 42 above the cut line. Buescher plus 17, but look at that for the final playoff spot. 7 points between Ross Chastain and Bubba Wallace. Bubba did everything he needed to do. Goes from 21 points down to now just 7 here with 4 races to go. Chase Briscoe minus 83, Kyle Busch minus 112, and Todd Gillen minus 118. So if I had to rate this race, I'm conflicted because it wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst, it was pretty good. Again, my expectations weren't high, so maybe that's why. But this was a lot better than what I thought. So I would give this like a 6.5, maybe even 7 out of 10 for Indy standards. But NASCAR's officiating, boy, did it get on my nerves how they handled that race. if for a race, 7 out of 10, officiating 1. And that's me being generous. But yeah, and also just a little thing I want to point out is with NBC. Was very disappointed by their decision. Not surprised because they've done it in the past. But one thing I absolutely do not like what NBC does is the minute it gets out of their window and they have to make the race run long, they kick it to the curb for local news. I get it, Biden dropped out, whatever, but that happened in the morning. That happened at 1 o'clock. It's fine, okay? It's one thing if nightly news comes on. I get that to an extent. But for local news, it really don't matter, okay? That's one thing I will give with Fox, is that with Fox, besides the Coke 600, if a race is on network television, they will keep it on network television, even if it goes along, even if it starts in the day and ends at 10 o'clock. Like if it's supposed to be done at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and ends up being done at 9 o'clock in the afternoon, they stay on network television. So I will give credit to Fox for that. But NBC, I have a big issue with them because they've done it before where even if it's a minute outside their window, let's kick it to the curb and for local news. But just want to point that out there that I was also annoyed about NBC. This race, it got me both annoyed in so many ways. Let me tell you something, I'm going to enjoy this 2-week break. But let me know your thoughts on this race in the comment section down below. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. By the way, just a little update. This is the last time you're going to see me in this room. I am moving out on Saturday and Sunday. So the next time you will see me when it comes to NASCAR race day or MDK Racing Victory Stop, it will be at my parents' place back home in South Florida. So just a little update if any of y'all care about this room. This will be the last time you see this flag, this logo, these flags. This is the last time. So yeah, but as always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content like I said. Until next time, my name is Jet. Thanks for watching.